next up, from the New York State Petroleum Council, Executive Director Karen Moreau.
Thank you. People keep talking about housekeeping. Well, I really hate housekeeping. But Steve Hers of the Joint Landowners Coalition mentioned Frack Nation, and if you didn't get a flyer today, there's flyers up here giving you the location and time of this movie. And I saw this movie in New York City a few weeks ago for the first time, and it was made by an independent filmmaker who's an investigative journalist, and he's actually from Northern Ireland originally. And I remember the first time I met him, I heard him speak, and he was talking about life in Ireland and how over there, the environmentalists drove out the industry. They drove out work for people that were mining coal, and they drove out work for people on the rails, and then he actually spent a good deal of his life exposing the hypocrisy of the environmental movement across the world. And I think he did a very good job of exposing it in Frack Nation. So I encourage you to see this film. I started the job at the New York Petroleum Council just over a year ago, but I got involved in this issue of natural gas development at least a year or two before then. And the reason I got involved was because of friends of mine, farmers in the southern tier of New York. I had a number of years ago been counsel for agriculture for the New York State Senate. I come from a farm background. My family's fourth generation farm in the Hudson Valley. They're mushroom growers. But I met the farmers of Tioga County, most of whom were dairy farmers. And at that time in 2001, the farm economy in that part of the state was very, very devastated. And I came to visit to see what their issues were and how the state of New York could help them. And I met people who work with their hands 12 to 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, with no relief. Aging, struggling couples whose children had long left the area because of lack of opportunity. Homes with tar paper and plywood on the windows. Barns collapsing because there's no money to fix them up. Tractors 40 years old without safety equipment because of a lack of capital. And yet environmental regulation that was unforgiving of the dairy industry. I met a farmer there who just paid a $10,000 fine to DEC because some manure ran downhill into a ditch and he didn't have enough money to put in a containment system. This is the history of this area not so long ago. And things have not improved since then for these people. I went to Pennsylvania with a farmer from Tioga County who had shut his farm down because I wanted to see firsthand what was happening in Pennsylvania several years ago. He was driving a water truck for a gas company. So I drove around with him in his pickup on all these back roads, and I saw firsthand all the work that was being done by people who work with their hands. Laborers, equipment operators, truck drivers, material handlers, welders, electricians, plumbers, pipe fitters, all busy, things buzzing, things humming. Dirt roads being replaced by paved roads. Poor environmental practices being replaced by better environmental practices in road construction, recycling of concrete, all kinds of things happening, all positive. And I thought to myself at that time, this is a no-brainer for New York. This is a miracle. It's a gift from God unfolding before our eyes, and it is the answer for my friends in the Southern Tier. Where frankly, when I first visited in 2001, I was depressed because I felt this was a situation short on answers, short on solutions. So many of our national politicians have come through this area promising economic growth and not delivering. Governors have done the same thing. Governor Cuomo has an opportunity to be the one who can make a decision that will change the face of this area and at the same time change the course of the state of New York economically. Because with the local economic growth that will come from this and the revenues it will generate, as Steve said, for schools and towns and counties and services, hospitals, senior citizens, that cost will be taken away from the state. And the rest of the state economically will benefit from that. Not to mention what's already happening with the low cost of natural gas. But the hypocrites in this debate are the ones that benefit most. They dwell in the cities, they have natural gas to their homes, they enjoy low-cost energy, they have jobs, and they become accustomed to the Southern Tier as their playground on weekends. Or for half a year, they spend in Cooperstown and go back to Texas so they don't have to pay New York income taxes. Yet lead the fight against natural gas drilling here. Someone in Albany has to see through this hypocrisy. That someone is the governor. I hope that he is listening. I am so grateful to the people in this room, many of whom I've gotten to know in the last 2 years. People from farms and these communities, people in the labor unions who I've been talking with for some time now. And we're all waiting. We're waiting for the green light here so we can start the process of planning and exploring and investing and rebuilding this great area. Because more than natural gas, the thing that this area has that's of value is the human resource here. It is the people of the Southern Tier who know how to work, who have generations of experience in the trades, in farming, and a great work ethic. That doesn't come easily anywhere. But if we do not act now, that will move somewhere else because the people have absolutely no choice. So many women in particular have told me, heartbreak is seeing your grandchildren and your children move away. When you're sitting here with a piece of land that you had wanted them to enjoy. That's heartbreak. Heartbreak is what I hear when a farmer calls me and tells me he's served foreclosure papers after 5 generations on the land. That's heartbreak. That's human suffering. So you don't tell me you care about human health and you oppose this, and don't tell me you care about the environment when this is something that will create a better environment for everyone with little surface disturbance. Thank you so much for standing with us and continuing to fight this fight. At times it seems so challenging. So many people have put in so many hours of their time into this. I saw firsthand in Pennsylvania because I went on the drilling sites and I talked to farmers and I talked to people in communities before I ever joined the oil and gas industry. And I saw what could be done, and I saw it being done safely. And a lot of people in this room have something that others don't have, and that's common sense. And anyone that learns and begins to understand hydraulic fracturing and horizontal drilling understands that there is no possible way that the hydraulic fracturing can ever contaminate groundwater. It's physically impossible. Not to mention the level of environmental regulation that is existing in New York with 14,000 active gas wells and not a single incident of contamination. 1 million wells across this country, no contamination. Yet they ask us to do another study. And we haven't studied enough. Well, New York, it's time to stop studying economic growth and do it.
Yeah.
Thank you.